Hello friends and welcome to my channel. It's the beginning of the month and it's time to have a look at Spellbinders clubs. Everything is Christmas themed, my favorite. I'm kicking things off with the small die of the month, Festive Friends. This is a super sweet set and so I've made a cute pop-up for you. Following step by step, this interactive card is easy to make. There are two critters in this set, the bear and a penguin. I'll start off by putting the bear together. Head and muzzle have been cut from light brown cardstock. And I'm just going to add a little bit of shading around the edges with Distress Oxide ink frayed burlap. Two small dies to cut the inside of the ears, which have been cut from pink cardstock. These die cuts are large enough that they can be adhered to the back of the ears. No need to do any inlay work here. The head die cut has etched lines to make it easy to position the muzzle, the cheeks, and the nose. Instead of fiddling with these itty-bitty die cuts, I find it easier to work with a jewel picker. This is an inexpensive tool. There's a small black band that can be placed at the back of where the eyes are, but I didn't figure that out till later. So I've placed Scotch tape and then I'm going to pop in those little tiny black circles into the eyes. This I definitely would not want to do without the jewel picker. This sweater was die cut from some pattern paper found in the Oh Joyful Day 6x6 paper pack. The collar was cut from indigo cardstock. I didn't like the patterned paper peeking through those detail slot lines, so I've decided that I'm going to inlay it with white. Scotch tape was placed on the back of the die cut. All of those little bands of white are unique in shape, and I thought, oh no, this is going to be a nightmare to do the inlay work, but it actually wasn't. I started off by putting in the obvious ones first, and then I went to the ones that were a little bit more similar in shape. And surprisingly, this just took a couple of minutes to do. And isn't that the way things go? When you think something's going to be hard, it oftentimes turns out to be easy. But I find conversely is true as well. If I think it's going to be easy, sometimes it can be a bear. And please forgive the pun. This bear is finished up with the collar being attached to the sweater and a thin stream of glue placed at the bottom of the head so that it can be adhered to the underside of the collar. This penguin is so playful and sweet. I just love it. The etched lines on the main body of the penguin make it easy to position the mask and the breast. I'm going to be wearing this cute toque that is going to be detailed with a pom-pom and a band. The little beak is also etched onto the mask, and so that is popped into place, and then I can add in the feet. I left the bottom of the breast die cut free from adhesive so that I could slip the feet underneath it. And this little guy is finished off with a teal scarf, and then his toque is placed on the top of his head. The wand with the star on it is going to be adhered to the back of the penguin. This is actually going to be the pull-up mechanism for the pop-up, and I ended up adding in a couple of more stars to make it a better handle to grip. This die set comes with two strings of light, a larger set and a smaller one. There are two dies that produce different sizes of light bulbs that correspond to the size of each of the strings of light. The strings have been die cut from matte gold cardstock, and then for the lights, they have been die cut from light blue, light teal, and a darker teal cardstock, and then they have been alternated as they are adhered to the strings. The background for this card is out of soft teal cardstock that I'm going to add a snowy texture to it by using Spellbinders Splatter White. The bottom of the wand is attached to the back of the penguin's head. It's out of foil, so it slips around a bit, so I'm just going to use my reverse tweezers to hold it in place until the adhesive is dry. I've got everything laid out, and I'm just going to use a pencil to make a little mark on my paper right underneath the penguin's wing. That's as far as I want it to pop up behind the bear. The penguin was also positioned behind the bear with just the star poking out and marks made at the bottom, so I know that when it slides down, the penguin is going to be hidden. I'm going to be using a craft knife to cut this channel out. I had a peek at my sentiment strip dies to see if I could use that instead, but they were all too long. But this was easy to remove, so no big deal. You can actually buy some slide up buttons that you attach to the back of the element that you're popping up, and I have them, but I couldn't find them. I'll be using a small foam square, and I'm just sliding it up and down the channel to make sure that it's going to move freely. Then I'll adhere it to the bottom of the penguin, leaving the backing paper on the other side intact. On the back of the panel, foam strips are placed around the perimeter of the rectangle. This creates a channel. The penguin will move straight up and down, and it also will provide an end point so that it doesn't slide right out of the top of the bear's head. Foam adhesive is added to the bottom of the bear and along the sides. I also added in a couple of smaller pieces right at the corners to give the bear more stability on the card. So this is where I had to go in and start making some adjustments to the adhesive. Because the penguin is not symmetrical, the wing was catching on the left-hand side, so I've cut down that little corner piece of foam just a bit. And I'm just laying it down and testing it out. It seems to be fine, so I remove the backing paper from the foam on the back of the bear. The penguin is laying in its lowest position in the slot, and the bear is laid on top. But when I tried it out, the penguin was still catching on that left-hand side. Did not apply a lot of pressure to the foam, so it was easy to peel it back, lift the penguin out, and then I took my craft knife and then took down the width of that one strip of foam on the left-hand side about halfway down. I used my craft pick to remove that strip that I had cut. Then it was simply a matter of taking the penguin and aligning the foam square with the slot and then putting some pressure on the bear to hold everything in place. I don't think that I mentioned that my panel is 4 inches by 5 1/4 inches. So now it's going to go onto the card base, and there will be a nice white border around it. The foam strips had already been placed around the channel, so now I'll add in some additional foam so that the panel will be nice and sturdy as it sits on the card base. I chose to continue with the foam strips because foam adhesives can have different depths, and I wanted the depth to be continuous right across the back of the panel. And I'll just add in a couple of more pieces, and then I can start removing the backing paper. Of course, after I do one more check to make sure the penguin is popping up and down smoothly. And once the panel is secured to the card base, the penguin will also be secured into the channel. When the penguin is popped up, there isn't a lot of room for the sentiment, but the bear's sweater is a perfect spot. Sending cheer from Christmas greetings is the perfect size. It has been die cut from dark blue cardstock. The string of lights will be adhered to the sweater, having the curve come off of the edge and tucking that end right underneath it. And remember, the sweater has been popped up with foam strips, and I'll just use the reverse tweezers to hold that end in place until the adhesive sets. This small string of lights will sit above the bear's head by attaching it to the back of his ears. Again, I'll use reverse tweezers to hold the ends in place until the glue dries. Now I need to extend the size of the handle, and I thought it would look cute to have a trail of stars. Once the adhesive is dry, I'll test it out again, and that handle is the perfect size. And what's a Christmas card without a touch of sparkle? I'll finish off all of the stars with Nouveau Glitter Drops White Blizzard. And of course, I have to use my Nouveau Crystal Drops Morning Dew. A droplet on each of the light bulbs gives them a shiny, dimensional look. When both of these mediums, White Blizzard and Morning Dew, are applied, they will be cloudy initially, but then dry clear. I let them dry overnight and then I can test out my pop-up. I hope you enjoyed this video featuring Spellbinders Small Die of the Month Festive Friends. Creating a pop-up is fun and easy when you follow step-by-step instructions, and I hope that the troubleshooting tips are also helpful. As always, I appreciate your visit. Thank you for watching. Hit that like button and please subscribe.